This is the Face That Deserves to Be on Radio podcast with your host, Phil Shuri.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Face That Deserves to Be on Radio podcast, a show where we talk about pop culture, game culture, everything in between. And today we have a really jam-packed episode, and we're going to try to edit this a little bit today for this episode, and we'll see how it goes. I'm joined today, as always, by my good friends. I'm joined today by my good friends Eco Freak and Flamers. How are you guys today?
I'm okay.
Flamers?
Flamers.
And we got nothing. Flamers is silent.
Well, should we move on without him?
He's choking. Somebody call 911. No, don't actually call 911. He's fine.
Somebody call 911. Shorty fire burning on a dance floor.
Anyway, we
Flamers,
begin today.
We need to get to the topics.
Yeah, we begin today. Guys, we're going to start with I'm going to have you guys start with a little guessing game. So, I got a new Funko Pop recently. And I'm going to give you guys 3 clues as to what the Funko Pop is. Are you guys ready?
I already know what Funko Pops are.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay. I don't know. You got the really expensive Sly Cooper Funko.
No. I'm going to give you
Jak
clues.
Daxter Funko.
No, okay.
There doesn't exist one.
Okay. First clue. It is a Disney movie.
Turning red.
Is it Genie from Aladdin?
No. Here, I'll give you another clue. Second clue. This character is known for archery.
Oh, is it Meriden or whatever her name is from Brave?
Brave?
No, it's not. Who are you going to say, Flamers?
I know this.
Archery.
I think Flamers is going to get it here. Let's give him a second. Let's let him cook.
Robin Hood.
Yes, it is, sir. Oh, God, the freaking light. Ta-da.
Oh, God, it's furry Robin Hood.
No, it's the special art collection from Funko. So I got this on Amazon for about like $7, and the best part is it came with the as you folks can see, it came with a custom, like, legitimate Funko, what's it called? Funko seal, Funko protector, basically. Like, this is legit solid plastic. That's good. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So we got a lot to talk about, guys, and only an hour to talk about it. So let's get into it. Where should we start?
I've got quite a few topics we can talk about.
Lay them on us, Eco.
So I don't have very many topics to talk about, but quite a bit has happened since the last time we did our podcast. Unfortunately, Rooster Teeth has been closed by Warner Brothers Discovery, and quite a few people are bummed out about it. I'm not very, tied in with Rooster Teeth, but, I am going to miss their death battles that they always posted on YouTube. If anyone's curious as to what Rooster Teeth's prior work is, they are responsible for the YouTube channel Death Battle, where they would oftentimes pit characters with similar backgrounds against each other in a fight to the death. Like, say, one of the most controversial ones was Goku versus Superman. Or...
Didn't they also make Ruby?
Yeah,
yes,
they did.
I was just about to get to that. They made Ruby, and that one is very unfortunate because a lot of people like Ruby. Warner Brothers has stated that they plan on selling the rights to Ruby to anyone they can find. If they can't find anyone, then it's probably going to end up being canceled. That's a shame. That is a real shame. Rooster Teeth was also responsible for one of the earliest YouTube channels called Achievement Hunter. That one kind of sucks because Achievement Hunter was a pretty popular channel when YouTube first started. But yeah, Rooster Teeth has been closed, and it's sad to have seen a company that's been around for 2 decades get closed, and we don't really know why. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. I do know why. They've been looking to sell Rooster Teeth for a while now, but they could never find a buyer. And since they couldn't find a buyer, they just chose to close down the studio.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. What else is next? Did you guys happen to hear that Jake Paul is going to be fighting Mike Tyson?
Yeah. How are those chips, Flamers?
Yeah, Flamers, are you eating?
I didn't think they would be picked up on the microphone.
It is an Audio-Technica AT2020. Of course it will be picked up.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to chew into the mic.
Oh, God's sake.
They're delicious, okay? They're
Yeah, well, they could be
Hot
delicious
cheese sour
after
cream.
the podcast. They could be delicious after the podcast. You're gonna have to edit that out, Phil.
No, we're keeping it in. That's comedy right there.
But Jake Paul is going to be fighting Mike Tyson, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Paul brothers. But I'm of course talking about both Jake Paul and his brother Logan Paul.
I hope he gets his face caved in.
It's Mike
This is
Tyson. Of course he
we're talking
is.
about, dude. Like, okay, look, Mike Tyson is maybe 57 years old, but this is Mike Tyson we're talking about here.
He's had severe boxing injuries. You have to admit, he can't move as good as he could in his glory days.
At least he's got a sick
That's
tattoo.
true.
He has
What
a
is it-
sick tattoo.
Yeah, but what does this tattoo have to do with his boxing skills?
I don't know. Phil just mentioned it.
Come on, Nico.
I mean,
I was setting up your freaking like most iconic saying.
What? Anyway,
I am surrounded by idiots. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China, damn it?
Oh, that one? Okay.
Yeah.
That long
I'm losing my mind.
pause.
This is the most emotional I've gotten on an episode of the podcast.
Anyways, I personally think that my money's on Mike Tyson. Like,
Yeah.
the dude's a boxing legend. Like, he's kind of up there with the likes of Muhammad Ali.
Also, isn't this the first time that Netflix is actually doing a boxing event on their platform? That's another thing we got to recognize as well.
I don't know. I'd never watched boxing on Netflix.
I think it's
I've never watched boxing.
I've never either, but I might give it a shot. Anywho, Eco, I think it's time.
For what?
We talk about the big thing that happened today. The thing that happened about your namesake, damn it. Let the people know. The game.
If you're talking about, I was actually going to talk about that a little bit later. The next topic I wanted to talk about is actually a big one.
All right, we'll get to it later then. Go ahead.
In unfortunate news, the creator of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama, passed away. And man, I'm not particularly a fan of anime or Dragon Ball Z, but man, that guy has had a lasting legacy. So many people all over the world love Dragon Ball. And to have heard that the creator of the show, the anime, and the manga has passed away, it hurts.
Isn't Dragon Ball like
Died
the
at
longest
ripe
running anime
age of
as well?
69 years old.
I'm sorry. What?
Isn't Dragon Ball like the longest running anime of all time or something like that?
No, that's One Piece.
Oh, it's One Piece. Oh, okay. It's one of them, right?
So not to be confused. One Piece is the longest, but I think Dragon Ball is the oldest. Dragon Ball started in the mid '80s. That's how old it is.
Yeah, but Phil just said the longest.
No. The longest running is not the same as the oldest. The longest
Yes, I know,
run-
but Phil's question is, isn't Dragon Ball the longest running anime? And
No.
I said no, that's One Piece.
That is also correct. One Piece is the longest run anime because it has the most episodes. Well over 1,000. But Dragon Ball predates most anime in general. But of course, Akira Toriyama has worked on other things than just Dragon Ball. I believe before he worked on Dragon Ball, he made something called Dr. Slump. And
I remember Dr. Slum.
You do?
It had a little android girl. What was her name? Oh, Raleigh. Yeah, it was a gag type anime. She could punch the ground and all of a sudden the earth would crack in half.
But he also was a popular video game designer for franchises like Blue Dragon, Dragon Quest, and even Chrono Trigger.
I still haven't played that to this day. Is it still worth all the hype?
So I haven't played Chrono Trigger either, but I keep hearing from so many people that it is a cult classic. And I've actually been tinkering around with the idea of playing it one of these days.
Aren't you gonna need a PC for that though?
I don't know. I think Chrono Trigger wasn't it a PS1 game?
Pretty sure.
So maybe I could get the PS1 version and playing on my PS2.
I doubt it. Well, I don't remember a backwards compatibility function on the PS2.
Yeah, the PS2, the fat model PS2 has backwards compatibility.
Man,
Flamers, are
I
you
would've done
serious?
so much with that.
Yes, the fat model PS2 has backwards functionality.
No, not
Right,
you. I'm
to be
saying
fair-
Flamers. Are you? You serious?
What?
Like, dude,
About not knowing?
like Sony didn't really cut off their their backwards functionality until the PS3 Slim and the Super Slim.
Like, okay, to be fair, I grew up with a PS2 and never played PS1 games unless I went over to my grandparents' house. And that was like once in a blue moon. That maybe happened twice in my lifetime. So to be fair, no, I wouldn't have known that.
Oh, flamers.
Okay.
Oh, flamers.
Anyways, let's just get back on topic. Honestly, if you really think about it, much of what exists in anime today, like the likes of Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Full Metal Alchemist, and even Hunter x Hunter.
What?
Guys, come on.
I don't know what Phil's laughing at.
It's your stupid burp. I'm sorry. I tried to mute myself. I should have turned off my camera.
Nico, please continue.
The likes of those animes owe a lot to the existence of Dragon Ball. Because I think Dragon Ball was one of, if not the first anime to like show a main protagonist going through like a power-up phase. You know, the Super Saiyan.
Oh.
Yeah.
And in fact, I know technically Avatar is not an anime. It's an anime-inspired cartoon. But I would not be surprised if the Avatar state was inspired by Super Saiyan. Heck, Phil, I think Jak and Daxter took a lot of inspirations from anime itself. I mean, dude, freaking wild hair protagonist. Ring a bell?
Okay, you
Dark
have
Jack.
you have to remember
Yeah.
the wild hair was an anime staple since like the late 70s. Like you
Okay,
can't just
but-
give that to Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, but sure.
Especially with Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay, but Dragon Ball was essentially the trend that popularized it. It may have been there before, but most people knew Dragon Ball more than those other projects. Anyways, so yeah, Akira Toriyama, rest in peace. He was 68 when he passed. He unfortunately passed away from acute subdural hematoma, which is a fancy
brain
way of
tumor?
saying it's a fancy way of saying he had a blood clot on his brain.
Oh.
Ah, damn.
And
I wonder
it's
if there's
actually
any way of treating it.
well, I don't know, but it's funny he actually mentioned a brain tumor because apparently before he died, he had an undiagnosed brain tumor as well.
Funky.
No, it's unfortunate. Like I know people talk about that this person was too young when he died, but like 68 is, in my opinion, a little too early to die.
Yeah, my mom is like 58 right now. She has reaffirmed time and time again she is not old. Not that I have called her old at any point in time, but she's reaffirmed it to me, and I agree with her.
Wow, I'm actually kind of just blitzing through all my topics. Okay, so in lighter news, PlayStation
news. Sorry, I had
PlayStation has announced their new lineup for PS Plus Premium and PS Classic.
Yeah.
Let's see here. For PlayStation Plus Premium and extra games for March of 2024, we have Blood Bowl 3 on PS4 and 5. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which I assume is in light of Akira Toriyama's passing. Again, rest in peace. Lego DC Supervillains.
Ooh.
I actually played that game. It's not that bad.
No, it's not that. When I did the salute, I held my arm out a little too long there. I was like,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
no, don't start that. Go ahead, Ego.
Marvel's Midnight Suns, which I heard is actually a pretty decent game. Mystic Pillars, NBA 2K24 Kobe Bryant Edition, Resident Evil 3, and Super Neptunia RPG. Essential games for March include Destiny 2 Witch Queen, EA Sports F1 23, okay. Hello Neighbor 2, and Sifu. That's actually pretty interesting. And now for the highlight, in my opinion, the classics lineup. We're getting Cool Borders, which was originally released for the PS1. God's Eater Burst, originally from the PlayStation Portable. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, which was originally released for the PS3. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. And, of course, the one that I'm most curious about is Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier, which was originally released on the PlayStation Portable and later ported to the PS2 in 2009, is getting put on PS4 and PS5. That
I
is,
remember how weirded out I was playing The Lost Frontier.
before I get into the meat of my topic with that, this is actually a pretty decent lineup for premium and extras lineup. The classics in my opinion, are a little hit and miss, but it's cool seeing the Ace Attorney games coming. I'm not particularly a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or I'm not familiar with the other two, but to see Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier getting migrated over to PS4 and PS5 is, well, let's just say I wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah, now here's the thing that I want to bring up right now. The community's kind of mixed about this, honestly. Half of us are really glad that it's coming to PS5 and PS4, and the other half is just like, what the hell about Daxter? And I'm just like, can we just be happy that we're getting another Jak and Daxter game on the lineup here, guys? Like, for goodness sake.
We could have had another Jak and Daxter game, and that game could have been Daxter.
Yeah, but maybe if this one performs well, maybe they'll do Daxter. That's why I keep telling everybody.
Played Daxter.
Dude, this is The Lost Frontier. This game didn't even sell 1 million copies across 2 consoles.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe it got a... Well, maybe the people that played the game originally, like you and me, we'll try it out, and, we'll love it.
And I don't know.
Wait, you guys never played The Lost Frontier?
No, we did.
No, I'm playing it right now. I played it over a decade ago.
I have it on
Okay,
PSP,
okay.
actually. The PSP's over there charging, but I'm not going to get up and freaking get it right now. I don't have the energy. I already let my energy out with the Woo.
I have the PS2 port of the game.
And I really hope the mic picked up the Woo.
Woo! Anyways, I have the PS2 port of the game, and I'm actually... You guys can't hear it, but I'm actually playing it right now as we speak. I'm on the level with the I think it's the Ghost Pirates. Yuck. But the thing I'm most curious about is the game going to have trophy support? Because if it does,
It's going to be the easiest platinum of your life, because precursor orbs carry over into your new game plus.
That is true, but that's not exactly what I'm worried about. I'm worried about how many times I have to destroy a ship, or how many times I have to hijack a ship with Daxter, or fully customizing all my ships and stuff like that.
That, my good sir, is called an experience.
You mean
that
a
could all
grind.
just be summed up in one word. Yeah, grind.
It's part of the ride.
From my personal experience, platinuming the Jak and Daxter games on PS3 and PS4, Jaks 1 through 3 is really easy to platinum. It may take time, but it's pretty easy, very straightforward. Jak X, on the other hand, I'm actually really glad provided me with more of a challenge than those games did, because you actually kind of had to work for the platinum. You had to do what I like to call extracurricular challenges, you have to win a game of Capture the Power Cell with a score of 5-0, or you have to half max out your vehicles and stuff like that. But yeah, I personally found that Jak X had a much more challenging platinum than those games, so I'm curious to know what the platinum for The Lost Frontier will be like, if it will happen at all.
Well, we will find out this... Well, actually, we'll find out when you're watching this episode, because the game will officially hit the library once this episode goes live, basically, and I'm really hoping that you can actually purchase the damn game, because I'm not ready to buy another month of PS Plus Premium just to play that game. So
well, I think you should be able to, because when Ape Escape came to Premium, people were able to buy the game separately. Heck, I bought it separately. The same goes for the Medieval Resurrection version that was originally on PlayStation Portable, but is now available for separate purchase on the PS Store. It even came with its own trophies. I assume that they'll do the same thing with The Lost Frontier, but at the same time, I'm also worried about what the performance of the game will be like on PS4 and PS5. Because, anyone who's played the PS4 ports of the Jak and Daxter games knows exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah, my thing that I'm happy about with is that they chose the PSP version to use and not the PS2 version. Because the PS2 version just lags way too much. And plus, the PSP version, yes, we're going to have to get used, and this is the one complaint that I had on that I do from Reddit, he's not happy with the fact that we're gonna have to use triangle to shoot. And I'm just like, just get over it, dude. Come on. Let's just be happy we have the game.
I will not get over it. That's so uncomfortable.
Well, maybe
But
if we get
still,
lucky,
what?
they'll remap it and put it on R2 like all the other games have.
Get over what now?
So, if you're not familiar with the Lost Frontier Flamers, the debate that me and Phil are getting into is that the PSP version, while it arguably does run better, it comes with a few caveats. One of the problems is that the PSP lacked most of the buttons that the PS2 controller has. So, like certain buttons were only mapped to L and R, and then like you had to do specific and odd combinations to use some of the eco powers. But more specifically, since the PSP only had L and R, I think it was, and since L and R were already being used for the camera, I think that meant the only way to shoot the gun staff in the game is with triangle.
Ooh, that's like having accelerate BX.
Or worse, in Shadow of the Colossus's case, jump with triangle.
I've had a certain games beat jump with triangle. Wait, what game did I play that had jump for triangle?
Well, anyways, if I have to fire with triangle, I am not looking forward to that. But then again, I could see myself getting used to it because the triangle button is hardly used in the Jak and Daxter games anyways. It's only really used for talking with people or hijacking vehicles or talking to side quest kiosks. But like, there's not actually a gameplay functionality with it, like punching or kicking. So I could get used to it, but just because I'm going to get used to it doesn't mean I have to like it. Like, I had to get used to the fact that I had to jump with R1 and Ape Escape. That's weird. That's really weird.
Yeah, anyway, we'll find out how much we get used to it this, like, basically when you're listening or watching this podcast, depending on what platform you're on. All right, what else do we got in the canon today, guys?
Well, I've essentially covered all my topics today, actually. And it's only been, 20 minutes?
27 minutes, almost.
Okay, well, I've already talked about all my topics. Flamers?
I mean, we could go back to the topics about the Helldivers 2 devs.
Okay.
More specifically, looking into the topic of the Helldivers dev not adding a multiplayer into the game, they said that their reason specifically was because that they wanted their game to be they didn't want to make their game generic, in a sense. They wanted to add a sense of unity, as Phil had stated prior to this podcast, that they wanted more of a team effort type of experience instead of your standard PvP garbage that just about every single game nowadays has. What do you think about it?
I can respect that. Ghost of Tsushima did something very similar with the Legends multiplayer. When the Legends multiplayer for Ghost launched, there was no PvP or like team deathmatch or anything like that because the multiplayer wanted to have players feel like they're a team instead of going to odds against each other, and that's one of the big reasons why I really love the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer, because like every time you're clearing waves or you're trying to do the story implemented missions that like took like more than an hour to finish, it really felt like you depended on one another, and I really loved that. So I can understand from Helldivers' point of view that they want to have a game in which everyone feels like they're working together. They're all on the same team here. But of course, there's always going to be that. Actually, in gaming's case, I think it's going to be a loud majority where they're like, I don't care about working on the same team. I want to kick somebody's ass.
If you want to do that, just shoot your teammate already. They have friendly fire. You want to watch the world burn? Just shoot your friend in the back of the head.
Yeah, but don't most games have like penalties, like in-game penalties for friendly fire?
I think this one isn't terribly consistent. Like, I think you can get away with it a few times before you get penalized. But this response from the dev is something that you definitely don't see a lot in much more modern games nowadays. Like, obviously, you have the gaming titans in the industry. You've got Call of Duty. You have Halo. You have more recent releases like
CS:GO, Fortnite.
You have your typical battle royale, and that's usually just a carbon copy of the original. And in most cases, what was considered one of the biggest original battle royales was oh fuck, what was it? Winner
PUBG?
Winner Chicken Dinner. Was that its name? Yeah, Players Unknown Battleground. That was it. Where like if
PUBG.
you what?
PUBG.
Yeah.
That's what I just said. Yeah, PUBG.
So that was I think that was one of the original battle royales, one of the ones that originally had took off, in the sense that you just have maybe 20-30 people all in one map trying to kill each other. And then it turned into a whole scene where companies, starting with Epic Games in their release of Fortnite for the first time, ended up doing the same thing, and it just caught more attention. But now fucking everybody's doing it. Call of Duty started doing it. Battlefield was put it into a larger perspective with their more recent releases of Battlefield 2049. And frankly, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of battle royales. Like, sure, the concept is fun on paper, but when it's done over 1,000 different platforms and names, it becomes so generic that you already know what to expect by the time you start the game. Before you start the game, even. You're either going to have a loud ass lobby, a silent ass lobby, or some fucker with the Chinese name is going to come over and 360 no scope your ass. To be frank, Helldivers 2 did a good thing by saying that they're not going to add PvP. Frankly, one of my favorite games where teamwork was important was Monster Hunter. And I don't know if either of you have played any of the series, but Monster Hunter is strictly a PvE type of game. It's only the player versus environment, and you have the option of having teammates. And their more recent releases have proven a lot, in fact, that the right people can work together in almost seamless, like, cooperation, coordination. So that's my take.
Hmm.
Well, that's
In
pretty
recent,
cool.
well, not recent, but in other news, I suppose we could also discuss the topic of the Helldiver devs not wanting to put the pride flag into the game. I believe for the reason that the flag itself would not add any symbolic meaning to the game, considering its current setting. There would be, in other words, there'd be no purpose to adding the flag itself into the game other than blatantly I'm out of words. My brain is like cooking right now.
Representing?
Blatantly representing a group that frankly could be in the game. I don't know the characters, if there's a story or not, but you play as a guy or a girl, goes up to the moon or a different planet to shoot an alien. That's basically it. You go to different planets to rob it of its resources and reap the benefits. I don't see when the flag would be present. One of the other reasons the devs specifically had mentioned was that they wanted to stay out of politics.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
I could pull up the tweet right now. I could get the actual information.
Yeah, we got a little time.
Well, if I can understand where they're coming from, where they don't want to add something because they would view that as not additive to the setting of the game, but at the same time, it's a video game. What does it matter?
So the current verdict is that they reject the pride flags in their games because they don't want to polarize. They don't want polarizing stuff in their games. Dead by Daylight devs should have done the same. They banned people over targeted attacks on pride flag flare users. Total BS is the verdict.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable talking about this topic anymore.
We could change the topic.
How about we get to Eco's Platinums of the week, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you, Phil. Actually, I was wondering if you had any topics of your own, Phil.
Not much. I mean, going into my, mostly I want to talk about the Jak and Daxter game, but one thing that did change in my life a little bit is that I actually got my dream monitor for my gaming setup now. It's over here. I'll probably put a picture in post, basically, but it's a 32-inch LG Ultra Gear 1440p monitor. And I got it on sale at Walmart for about $200. It was about $221 with tax, but yeah, I just got it and it's a really good monitor and I highly recommend it to you guys if you're looking into monitors. So yeah, my PC build's already getting started in some ways. I mean, I got a guy who's gonna help me build the PC sometime the end of this year. Speaking of that, guys, we might be taking a break from the podcast during the summer, but we'll elaborate more on that later. I think it's about time we get into Eco's 10 platinums of this podcast, whatever the name of the segment's gonna be. Are you ready, Eco?
Yeah, sure. So, just a reminder, folks, that Phil has wanted me to list the games in backwards order, which is I find strange, but I'm not going to argue against it.
Well, each week they come back into basically like each week they come back, you get closer and closer to your first platinum. So that way, like, there's a reason for them to come back. It's just weird if we just start if we just start with 1 and go into 100.
Right. Then look, I was just saying I'm not going to argue against it. It's just, anyways. I just want to reestablish that for anyone who didn't pick up on last week's podcast. Last week we did platinums 100 to 91. This week we're doing platinums 90 to 81. So, if Phil could be so kind as to pull it up for the podcast viewers, my 90th platinum was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Most of the games that are going to be in today's podcast I earned in 2022. So Fallen Order, I really love Star Wars, and I thought that Fallen Order was a pretty decent game. I had a few issues with it, such as like loading errors and pop-ins. And unfortunately, I tried making a playthrough out of this game, but it just wasn't working out because there was a lot of recording issues, such as missing footage and, again, just the pop-ins and the glitches. So I had to stop my playthrough of the game. But I did finish the game and I did platinum it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. The only thing that I am upset about with the game is that I took so long to platinum it. I got the game in June of 2020, and I didn't platinum it until like late 2022. I kept putting down the game because I wanted to try and take another jab at their whole recording stuff, and it just wasn't working. So I just said, fuck it, and I just finished the game. I didn't care, although I am sad I couldn't finish the playthrough. Platinum trophy number 89 is Multiverses. And not to be confused, Multiverses is relaunching later this year. In fact, actually, I think it's going to be relaunching rather soon.
Was that Shaggy versus Batman? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's the Warner Brothers Smash Bros type game where you could pit Shaggy against Batman.
Get over here, man.
But again, not to be confused, that game's relaunching pretty soon as like an official product. But I actually got the game when it was in beta. Here's something really interesting that you could do. You could get a free download code for Multiverses if you watched an entire hour of someone playing the game on Twitch. Twitch. And I did that. I watched the game for an entire hour, and it seemed fun. And as a reward, I got a free download code to try out the beta. And I also platinumed the game. And getting the platinum trophy of the game was actually pretty straightforward, except I think there was one trophy where I had to get like 500 KOs. Yeah, that took a while. But thankfully, you could get those KOs either by defeating online opponents or NPCs, I believe. So it didn't really matter that much. All in all, Multiverses, really fun game. My main was Shaggy, of course. In my opinion, Shaggy was a very easy to understand beginner type class. Pretty powerful, but also had a few drawbacks here and there. But if anyone's looking to play Multiverses, I'd say Shaggy is a very easy character to pick up and learn.
What are you shaking your head at, huh?
Yeah, what are you smiling about?
Eco eating the chips again. They're not Eco Flamers.
No, I'm not.
How many times are you going to confuse me with him?
In the same room.
Yeah, we're right here.
Do we sound that alike? Do I need to put the voice changer on? Do I need to have a nice fucking warble? Woo!
No.
Anyways, moving on. Platinum trophy number 88 is honestly one of the grindiest platinums I have ever earned, and that was Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Is that because he had to grind studs?
No, like it's the collectibles, my guy. So, if anyone isn't familiar with this game, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is undoubtedly the biggest Lego game that's ever been made, and the reason why is because it covers all three sagas in the quote-unquote Skywalker saga. So, the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. And each trilogy has its own set of planets, and each planet has its own set of collectibles, except for Kijimi, because Kijimi gets blown up. But yes, there are 23 planets in total to explore in the game, and you can imagine that some planets, like Coruscant, has most of the collectibles in the game. But the unfortunate thing is that like you can't get all the collectibles right away, because the only way to get all the collectibles is by unlocking all of the character classes for the game. And the only way to unlock that is to play all the trilogies, because each trilogy has its own set of character classes, like the droids, or the Empire, or Jedi, or bounty hunters and stuff like that, or even scavengers like Rey.
I thought the droids were part of the Empire.
No, droids. Oh, I'm not here to discuss that today. But the point is that like, you couldn't get everything done in one go because you needed to essentially explore all three trilogies. And even
so
then,
it's like playing the game 3 times over.
No, not exactly. So in every Lego game, there's 2 modes. There's the story mode, and then there's free play mode. Free play mode allows you to change your characters however you want, whenever you want, and get all the collectibles in each level at your own pace. The drawback is that when the game launched, I believe there was a trophy for getting 1,000 Kyber bricks, and I know Flame, or I'm sorry, I was about to do that again. I know Phil here hasn't played the older Lego games, but the Kyber bricks are essentially the replacement for the gold bricks. And
look who's confusing us.
And not only that, but like there's 1,000 of the things. Actually, there's more than 1,000 of them. Like as of this recording, thanks to DLC, actually even free DLC, there's now a total of 1,200 Kyber bricks in the game, which I can proudly boast I have all of them.
Jesus Christ, that's like collecting every single little Korok scene in The Legend of Zelda.
Well, here's the thing. Kyber bricks can be unlocked for doing tasks. They can be unlocked from collecting them in the overworld, or they can be collected from completing the story or the free play of the story. The basic gist. Oh, and there's also Kyber bricks that you can collect for taking on specific enemy class starships, like the Star Destroyers or the Death Star, or heck, even like Separatist class starships. The point is, the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga was a lot of busy work, and let me tell you, one of the planets that I did not like completing whatsoever was Crate. Oh my gosh, Crate sucked. Like, it's just a bunch of cave systems, and everywhere you go looks exactly the same. It gets tiring.
It's the equivalent of a sewer level in just about every game. Nobody likes a sewer level.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, one of the grindiest games I have ever played. But I very much enjoyed my time playing the game. In fact, I actually loved the charm and jokes in the game and the callbacks to the older Lego Star Wars games. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
A quick question. Have you ever had a game that you enjoyed so much that your frame of mind eventually migrated to, I want to save as much fun to last as long as possible, so I'm not even going to play the actual game? Have you ever been in that frame of mind?
Kind of. I can't really say that for linear games because, obviously they're linear, and the story is going to have to end eventually. But there are games like God of War 2018 where I was like, man, this game's so good, I just don't want it to be over.
So you did everything else first?
Well, I did most of everything first. Like, I I didn't fight the Valkyrie Queen until after the story was over, and that was for the better because the Valkyrie Queen was the secret boss of the game. But yeah, I've had moments like that.
I made the mistake of fighting the Valkyrie Queen first, but it prepared me for the final boss, considering I was on the hardest difficulty, and it made fucking what's his name again?
Thor.
Baldur.
His son?
Baldur.
No, Baldur. It made fighting him a piece of cake. Not that he had like the same moveset, but considering I was so on edge from fighting Freya a couple days prior, it just felt so much slower compared to Freya. Or what was her name?
Baldur.
Sigrun?
Yeah, Sigrun. Sigrun, the Valkyrie Queen.
Yeah, I still gotta go back, or not go back, but I still have to complete God of War Ragnarok.
That game's a lot tougher than the first game, but I got to get on with the rest of my platinums.
Yeah, go ahead.
So platinum trophy number 87 is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. And the only reason I played this game is because it was free on PS Plus, and I kept hearing that it was a bit of a cult classic licensed game from the PS2 Xbox era. I played it. I enjoyed it, but I don't really see myself revisiting it. It's just one of those games where, like, yeah, I'm glad I played it, but, like, I'm kind of done here. The platforming was pretty fun. I didn't really have a particularly favorite character to play as. You can play as 3 characters in the game. You can play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. Most people say that their favorite to play as was Sandy. Like, again, I don't really have a favorite character in the game because I think each one has their pros and cons. The platforming was fun, and overall, just getting everything done was pretty straightforward. The platinum was fun. It was fun. Of course, though, the biggest drawback from the game was the multiplayer. And first of all, I hardly played the multiplayer to begin with because there weren't any trophies tied to it. But I did try it anyways, and I honestly found the multiplayer to be a little boring, which is unfortunate because the rest of the game is pretty fun. Let's see. Platinum trophy numbers 85 and 86. I want to clarify with everyone, I grew up with Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter, but I chose to platinum years 1 through 4 and 5 through 7 of the Lego Harry Potter games. Is it okay if we sandwich them together here, Phil? Because they were kind of a package deal when I platinum those games.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, so 85 and 86. The big reason why I wanted to play these games is because I wanted to play them since I was a kid, but never really got around to playing them. But I also wanted to play them to put myself in a Lego mood because of the upcoming Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga game that was going to be coming out 2 months prior to me platinuming these games. So if anything, these games kind of prepared me for what I was going to expect with the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. It put me in the mind of collecting gold bricks again, collecting studs, finishing story missions, and getting like mini kits and whatnot. I gotta say that like my favorite of the two had to be years 1 through 4. Simply because years 1 through 4 didn't have that repetitive wand lock mini game move that you could do in almost every mission in 5 through 7. That was a little boring, but I still enjoyed both games. I would have recommended this game well over a decade ago, but given in lieu of recent times, it's really hard for me to recommend these games now. But if you're a Lego fanatic and you like Harry Potter, these games are just for you. Except one sin I will never forgive these games for is the omission of Quidditch. Why couldn't we play Quidditch?
You don't play Quidditch?
No.
What?
No, you can't.
Oh, great. Now we have to do that. Now we have to do what all those lifers do now.
Well, there is one thing I actually truly appreciated in the Lego Harry Potter games is that it's for all those hardcore Harry Potter fans, and I mean the real ones that read the books. They actually mesh together elements of the movies and the books together in the games. Like in the Goblet of Fire, in the maze section, there were supposed to be obstacles that the players would overcome in the maze, but in the movie, the obstacle itself was the maze. Like it kind of just was its own acting and living, breathing thing. But like in the game, it was a combination of the two, where like there were obstacles that you had to overcome, and like the maze would behave in its own ways. So it was neat to have like a little callback to both the movies and the books. Anyways, I enjoyed it, but I'm not sure if I'll ever return to those games. I'm also grateful that those Lego games came out during the time when there was no voice acting in the Lego games, because I like that. I like those types of Lego games the most. Okay, moving on. Platinum trophy number 84. Which one was 84? Let's see here. 84. It's been so long, I actually forgot which one's the next one.
Heavy Rain.
Thank you. Heavy Rain. So, I played Heavy Rain, the PS4 version of the game, back in 20. Sean! Jason!
John! That's the only thing I remember about that game.
Jason! Okay.
Shannon!
Man, Heavy Rain was
Cut off so hard.
like I played Heavy Rain back in 2018 when it was free on PS Plus. I really enjoyed the game. Phil is more familiar with Quantic Dream's other game, Detroit Become Human, but before Detroit Become Human and Beyond Two Souls, there was Heavy Rain, and it told a really, really depressing and dark story, but like it's one that kind of tugged at my heartstrings a bit. Really sad. But I played it in 2018. I finished the story. And then I'm like, okay, I want to platinum the game. And then I realized that there was a gold trophy for getting all 17 endings. I'm like, fuck that. But I mustered up the courage 4 years later to revisit Heavy Rain and unlock all 17 endings. And turns out getting the 17 endings actually isn't all that hard to begin with. It's grindy, but it's not overly complicated, because you can do certain things to manipulate the outcomes that you want. Plus, there are there's four characters that you play as. You play as Ethan Mars. You play as Madison. That was her name. You play as Scott Shelby, I think, a few times, and you play as I think his name was Jaden. Who, by the way, was my favorite character because he was a cop. And was he a cop? Well, he was a very specialized agent, and he was an investigator. And he had that really cool pair of glasses that you could like go into like his own little dream world and like access information in more private parts of the game. Like, he was cool. Jaden was my favorite character. And all the endings were tied to each of the characters. So whenever you finish Heavy Rain for the first time, you actually get 4 endings because of the 4 characters, regardless of what happens to the characters throughout the game. But of course, there are multiple different endings for all the characters. Like, some have 3, others have 4, so on and so forth. So getting all those endings was lengthy, but not troublesome. It's just that, you just had to get through all the endings anyways. Platinum trophy number 83 is Gravity Rush 2. Gravity Rush 2 is, in my opinion,
nice one.
In my opinion, Gravity Rush 2 is the better of the 2 games. Also, I want to say rest in peace, Japan Studios. It was really sad that you were taken out of the public eye, but here we are.
They were?
Yeah. Japan Studios was closed down a few years ago. Yeah. So, to any Gravity Rush fans out there, I'm really sorry.
I started playing Gravity Rush 2 a couple of years ago. I need to go back and finish it.
The graphics are so much better than the first game. The controls, although still pretty hard to control, are still better than the first game. I like the addition of the Raven's Choice DLC, which I believe is free, I think. Either that or it's really cheap. I liked the addition of the lunar and what was it, the lunar, or I think it was called the lunar and Jovian powers, where like you could have the powers of being able to float on the moon, or you could have the intense gravity of Jupiter, like stuff like that. The gravity powers were better, in my opinion, but unfortunately, the story in both Gravity Rush games is really, really, really confusing. But I was never really there to play the Gravity Rush games for the story. I was just there for the experience, and they were fun. I think the reason why I didn't return to Gravity Rush 2 until 3 years after I started playing the game is because after I finished the story, I was just really frustrated with the final boss. Like, I was just so tired of fighting him. And, like, let me tell you, fighting the final boss was not fun. It was not fun. So I got a little grumpy, and I just stopped playing the game after I beat the final boss and rolled the credits. But I returned 3 years later to get the platinum trophy to the game, and it took me a while to relearn the controls, but I eventually did it. And it was fun. It was fun. Oh my gosh, Phil, you look a little glitchy there, buddy. Yeah, you look, there's a little bit of a distortion effect on your image. Okay, now Phil's getting jiggy with it.
Next!
Okay, I promise, there's only 2 left. Platinum trophy number 82 is my first From Software game ever, and I honestly hope it's not the last. Bloodborne. Bloodborne is the brainchild of From Software, Japan Studio, and Sony Computer Entertainment. A lot of Dark Souls fans are a little upset that this game is trapped on the PS4 and that they want the game to go multi-platform. But they're also upset that this game's locked at 30 frames. Personally, I'm okay with 30 frames. I can live with 30 frames. But I have a bit of a story with Bloodborne. I started Bloodborne a year prior to platinuming it, and I'm going to be honest, playing a From Software game for the first time freaked me out. Like, the enemies were so strong. Like, adapting to a new type of playstyle is just so hard. And what made Bloodborne really different from the other Dark Souls games from other From Software games, as far as I'm aware, is that Bloodborne does not encourage a defensive playstyle. Like, there's literally a joke weapon in the game where they give you a wooden plank as a shield. That's the only shield you get in the game. So they're essentially saying, hey, you want to play our game? You have to play aggressive. You don't want to play defensive. So Bloodborne encouraged a very aggressive and offensive play style. And me, I'm more of a type of player where, like, I love waiting for the right opportunity to strike. So I will use my defenses up until the point where I need to strike, but not with Bloodborne. Bloodborne, I essentially had to wait for proper openings. I had to take jabs at any, like, free opportunity I could at any boss. And the reason why I stopped playing the game and only returned to it a year later is because, well, I hate to admit it, but I rage quit the game. I got to this one portion of the game called Upper Cathedral Ward. That place is scary. That place is really scary. But I rage quit because there's this one enemy type in the game called I think they're called the Brain Suckers. And they drain so much of your health, they grab you, and they just leave you open to attacks. And after they're done doing what they do, they get aggressive and keep doing it over and over again. And I had enough. I couldn't do it. So I threw in the towel. I stopped playing the game, but then I didn't feel happy rage quitting the game because I wanted to feel like I could overcome the game. So several months later, I returned to the game. I conquered Upper Cathedral Ward, even though the boss battle up there was actually pretty easy. Except the second boss battle. That was no joke. I also played the DLC to the game, the Old Hunters DLC. Excellent DLC, by the way. And I know neither of you have played Bloodborne, but I can proudly boast that I beat Orphan of Kos on my first try. Except he did. Of course, he did. He burned me all the way down to my last blood vial, so I was literally a hair away from dying. But still, I beat the hardest boss in the entire game first try.
Fuck phase 1 and phase 2.
Oh no, Phase 3 is the one that I thought sucked the most.
Really?
Yeah, that was easily when he was the most aggressive. But yes, I enjoyed Bloodborne. I enjoyed it enough to play it 2 more times because there's a trophy for seeing all 3 endings to the game. And I'm gonna be honest, one of the requirements for getting the super secret ending to the game probably has to be one of the most disgusting things I've ever done in a video game, and I don't want to talk about it.
Now I gotta know what it is.
Yeah, share with the
I'd
class.
rather not.
No, share with the class. Come on.
Hold on,
What,
before
Phil?
that, Eco.
What?
Just for you.
What?
I don't hear nothing.
You don't hear anything?
No,
Nope.
I don't hear anything.
Hold on, can you hear
Well, Flamers, I got to get to my last platinum before we call it a day.
All right.
All right, so the last platinum for the day is platinum trophy number 81, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Now, this game, I'll be honest, I was looking forward to this game a lot, and I did enjoy it, but I also unfortunately felt like it was a bit disappointing. For starters, the idea of having Nickelodeon characters duking it out in a Super Smash Bros. Type video game sounded awesome. But unfortunately, in my opinion, one of the biggest drawbacks of the game was its limited roster. The game only had 20 characters, and I'm like, dude, this is Nickelodeon we're talking about. Do you know how many characters you own in your library? Like, this game could have had such a potentially huge roster of characters, but they only limited it to 20. My main for the game was Toph, and I'm really sorry to say that because as much as I really enjoyed playing as Toph and learning her moveset, turns out Toph is an F tier character, and that sucks.
Oh.
That sucks. How can the blind bandit be an F tier character?
I liked playing as Sandy because she could lasso people through objects and completely fuck them over. That was fun. Yanking people across the map. Through walls. Oh man, that was fun. Especially with how bullshit it was.
Granted, the game did get better with subsequent updates. But let's see here. But still, like, personally speaking, I know I'm biased here because my favorite show of all time is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and to a lesser extent, The Legend of Korra. I was so upset when I found out that the Avatar characters weren't even high tier or even mid-high tier characters. They were either mid or below mid tier characters. Like, these characters,
F tier.
like what?
Well, they were either E or F tier.
Like they were either C or lower, and like that sucks because these characters are literally built to fight, and yet they're below tier characters. How can that be? It sucked. It really hurt my inner Avatar fanboy because honestly, those characters deserve much better. When the game first came out, I wanted to main Aang, but I quickly learned that his moveset just wasn't my style because he was more of an agile striker where he can do a lot of floaty jumps. He can do a lot of small chip damage and back off whenever he needs to. He was a speedster. But while that does make sense for his character, he's the Avatar, and I was a little disappointed that most of his moveset was limited to airbending. Like, the only move where he controlled all 4 elements is where he does that little orb thing that he did at the end of the show against Ozai. That's literally the only move in which he used all 4 elements. The rest of his moves are airbending, and that's
kind of boring.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Korra is the exact opposite. She can use any of the elements. Why? They're both
Well, you do remember she could use 3 of the elements when she was like a toddler.
Okay, yes, that's true. But still, they're both avatars and they both can control all 4 elements. So what's the excuse here?
It could be that version of Aang was early stage and they just gave him the final move out of yeah, I don't know why they would give him the final move. Maybe it's just for lack of a better move set.
Right. I'm glad they fixed that in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 though, because my main in that
one. Yeah, it came out November 7th. It came out November 7th, and they even released a custom Xbox Series X a couple weeks back in honor of it.
My favorite character was probably Danny. Can you guess what my favorite move was?
Is it the one where you use the thermos? Or the
Vented thermos!
Vented thermos!
Oh, God.
We should all get an All-Star Brawl 2, and let's see how we can do with it.
Yeah, well,
also, finally, Eco, this is for you.
I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
That's what she said. Thank you, Milkman from Psychonauts.
And well, never mind.
So let's see here. Is there anything else I want to talk about with that game? Well, I was a bit disappointed that it was $50 at launch because honestly, that game was more like a $30 game.
Yeah,
I
the
kind of
servers were not
enjoyed
good.
Powdered Toast Man. Powdered Toast Man felt like a drug trip when it was on Nickelodeon.
Well, I mean, that's because that he was from the Ren and Stimpy show, right?
I think so. I promise, as acting president, to remove all basic human rights.
Okay, Boomer.
But yes, those are the 10 platinums that we will cover for today. Looking back on it, most of those, well, quite a few of those games were games that I was just revisiting from prior years. Like I started Gravity Rush 2 back in 2019, but then I didn't platinum in for another 3 years. Same with Heavy Rain. I started in 2018, didn't finish it until 4 years later. And then Bloodborne, to a lesser extent, I started a year prior and then didn't platinum for another year. So basically, most of the games from my 80s platinums were simply just, return and clean up type of trophies.
One of these days, I'm going to play the Dark Souls series.
Yeah, me too. People keep saying that Dark Souls 2, you avoid like the plague, and I'm like, why? What's wrong with it?
I don't think people enjoyed the control scheme as much. Or maybe the story just sucked.
I mean, I'll never know. But I do want to make it a point to play Dark Souls one of these days. Heck, there are a lot of games I want to play one of these days.
All right, gents.
Anyways, I think I've overstayed my welcome. Phil, could you please carry us out?
Wait, hey, hold on, wait. Turn off the music.
It's subtle.
Copyright!
Turn off the music. Turn off the music. We gotta discuss the next date we're gonna record, guys. How does the 6th of April sound?
6th of April. Which day is that? Is that
It's a Saturday.
Is that a Saturday?
Yeah.
Is it possible that we could push it to the Sunday instead? Because I think I have plans for the 6th.
I guess we could. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going to wrap up the episode. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Faces Deserves Beyond Radio. Do us a favor. Leave a review. Let us know how you like the podcast so far. I mean, this is only our 4th episode, so... Well, actually, this is our 4th. Is this our 4th or our 5th? I keep forgetting which episode number we're on. I'll look it up later. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. You always check out this podcast, the video version and the audio version on YouTube. And, of course, on any podcast platform... these following podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, iHeartRadio, and Radio Public as well. And yeah, you can follow Eco on his Twitter at Freak on Twitter. And I don't know if Flamers has a Twitter.
Don't follow me.
Okay, he doesn't want to be followed. But yeah, that's where we're going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, treat all humanity with kindness and keep it real. And we'll see you next time on the Faces Deserves Beyond Radio podcast. Peace.
Oh, I'm such a fucking child.
Daddy!
Cut. Okay, that's enough of that for now.